My good friend Bruce, I haven't seen you since you left for California from Bucks County. I miss you, dude. How are you? I appreciate you being on.
I feel like I've seen you since then, right? No?
Maybe once. I think it was at a show that you came by the TLA. No, I couldn't go to that show. I couldn't go to that show.
Thanks, George.
No.
I've a couple months.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. That kind of delayed a little bit.
Came and played Philly a couple times.
A couple times. I know. I'm trying to like get involved with my musical business too. So it's just like I don't know. I try to fit around the times and such. And but you frequently come to Pennsylvania every so often for family and such.
My parents moved to Maryland, so I don't come back to PA as much. And obviously right now I'm too scared to fly.
Yeah,
So
I don't blame you. With the pandemic, everything that's going on, it's extremely scary that it seems like it's not going to end in a short period of time. It seems like it's going to continue, especially for our industry. They're talking about not playing shows until 2021. So, how do you feel about that?
I think it depends where you're at. Wait, is that? They said Bruce is slow again. No, maybe I'm slow. I'll just keep talking until somebody tells me to shut up. But I've heard that a lot of places are going to do like half capacity, like no more than 200, 250. It's still like what has changed? I don't know. I think that's the scary thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true.
As much as like I wish I could be playing shows, I also don't want like a million people, getting sick across the country just because the show and it spread super quick. And then I don't know.
We've been taking the right precautions. I mean, just staying at a safe distance, staying at the stay-at-home order. I mean, there's nothing else you can really do until we just wait it out. And unfortunately, we're trying our best to make everybody feel comfortable in this, unprecedented time that we live in, with everything going on. It seems like there's a lot going on, especially with the current events with George Floyd. What a fucking tragedy that is. Excuse me for my language. It just disgusts me how the privileged conversation is still kind of ignored for Caucasians such as you and I, as well as others, that it's not there, which to me and a lot of other people, it is there, and it's being brought to the light, thankfully, because this has got to stop. Sometimes.
What do you mean? What's not there?
People that talk about not that there's not a privilege for Caucasians.
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
Their opinion on it is ridiculous. That they don't think it's there.
It's like I think this is the biggest eye opener of the fact that if you and I are getting stopped for a tail light being out, or like I got pulled over 2 months ago. It was like during it was maybe a month into lockdown. I got pulled over and I had an expired sticker, and the cop came over, and people I was with were not being sassy to the cop, but they were like, shouldn't you be wearing gloves? Like, why are you? And I was like, because he was just like handling all my stuff, and we were all scared, because like, one, I mean, it's a cop. Two, this guy's got to be like talking to a bunch of people. He's touching all their stuff. So they were like, why aren't you wearing gloves? Like, kind of that was the question. But if that's not saying white privilege, like the fact that you can just say that to a cop, and had any of us been black, I think it would have been way more scary. I mean, I in the driver's seat was like, I looked at them like, shut up. Like, what are you doing? Like, and I'm white. So I think that's the scary thing to think about. Like, how many people are in those situations of just like scared for their life? Like, if I make the wrong move, like how many times like somebody went for their wallet, like get your wallet, they go for the wallet, and then they unload a round because of what? I don't know. It hurts. Like, I go to bed reading Twitter, I wake up reading Twitter, and just seeing videos and stuff over and over. And I don't know. It just sucks, man. It fucking sucks. I feel so bad, and I like want to do anything I can, and it's just like I'm just. I guess this feels like this has been going on forever, and there are a lot of people acting like that this is like a one instant thing. It's just now, like, there was a quote from Will Smith that was like, racism isn't new, it's just being filmed, or something like that. I'm
paraphrasing.
But it's the truth. It's like now it's like you can't hide from it. And hearing about cops turning off their body cams and stuff because do what you got to do, turn your body cams off. Like, And then it's like everybody keep filming. Like it's just like fucking. Oh my god, it's so scary.
We have to
It's so,
police the police now. Like we're basically now a somewhat of a third party authority to all this.
and I will say it does suck. Like I don't know if you know Mike Fishkin from Adobe Radio. Fish.
I do. Yeah, I know of him. Yeah.
Yeah, he has a great show, Gone Fishkin, and his dad was a cop, and he like put a tweet out too, and his dad had died, and it's just like for somebody like him, it gotta fucking suck. It's like, dude, my dad was a cop, and like he wore that badge of honor, and there's these crooked cops that are now like everybody's like, fuck the police, all of them, fuck all of them, and it just sucks because there are like obviously people need to speak up, good cops need to speak up, but the whole system is so fucked that it's like we need a fucking reset. And if that's burning buildings down, because not like everybody's like rioting and fucking up your own community doesn't do any good. It got a guy finally arrested. If nobody was burning down buildings, that would have been like nothing would have happened. So it's like, okay, now we gotta be burning this shit down to go, hello, like we've been trying to fucking tell you this shit. I don't know. I get really heated about it, but
Me too. And it's okay, and you're allowed to, because I'm starting to like get a little upset and shaky because I fear for a lot of my friends who are black, and they just, they man, female, whatever, like they're in a this has been going on for centuries, and it's just something that hasn't changed. Hopefully, we can get some kind of solution to where we can resolve this, but my biggest thing is that this scumbag literally had all the intention of doing this. And the facts are starting to come out that they've worked together in a nightclub for over a century, basically. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I feel like if we do one-on-one talk, I think that's where the audio is cutting up. But I'm just saying that for being blunt. And then it starts going. Yeah, and it took 4 days to arrest him after the rioting. I have a problem with that. One, because of the fact that it should have been sooner. Two, I still think they're doing it for his protection. Not only for him, but for his family. Obviously, his wife,
100%.
like, they easily did that. Like, his wife is already filing for divorce. But, she's doing the right thing. I don't know. Like, it's not enough. And we're not going to actually have a conclusion to all of this until he gets tried. He gets put away for life, if not worse. I don't know if that state has a death penalty. I'm not huge up in law with Minnesota, up to date with it. It's thank God that everybody's speaking out about this, because this is not a political thing. This is an inhumane thing, and something needs to change now.
That's 100%, 100%. And there's all these fucking people, and fuck them, because they're too afraid to speak out because of what it might do for ticket sales, what it might do for their followers, or for this or for that. And you're so right. It's not political. It's not going to fuck up your brand deals. It's not going to fuck up your tickets, whatever it is. Just fucking, you have a platform that if like you watch it, even somebody like whoever it is, like even Joe Rogan talking about it on his podcast and diving in and talking about it, how many people are going to go like, all right, well, Joe Rogan's saying that, maybe it's true. Like maybe I should like flip the way I'm thinking, or pay a little bit more attention, or sign this thing, or do this thing. Like it's just say something, do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's if I'm being honest, like I'm going to get emotional right now, but like
it's okay.
It hurts me because I have two nephews. My brother's wife's black, and they're mixed, and they have black features. So because they're going to be walking down the street or doing something or get pulled over, they're going to get fucking shot for what? Because of how they look? Like that, like I run that over in my head over and over. And I'm like, if you don't say anything or do anything, what are you going to do? Sit them down and go like, I was silent. I didn't say shit. And it's like, I just want everybody to feel that same feeling. Like you're just sitting back. If you're not doing anything or saying anything, like you see these protests where there's guys fucking kicking cops over, white guys. Like there's so many actions that are happening that to say we don't have and privilege has become this such like a dirty word. But it's like we have the ability, if you want to say ability instead of privilege,
Mm-hmm.
the ability to stand up to cops and to say stuff. And yeah, we may get shit for it, but I guarantee there's way more of a chance that if we weren't white, we would be reprimanded immediately for even saying anything. So if we have the ability to even just step up and say something or be like, yo, that's not fucking right. And it's like, I don't know.
Why can't you just certain people that can't understand this concept? Why can't you just like be the devil's advocate and just be in their shoes for like 10 seconds? You know what I mean?
Dude,
And I don't know if people watch the show, but Always Sunny in Philadelphia actually kind of did that in a way where I think it was a dream, and they actually became like African American. It was hilarious, but it showed the true side of racism and the stereotype that has been brought up for ages, and hopefully it just stops sometime soon. We just wake the fuck up and like do something. I mean, we're doing something right now. Obviously, the protests are saying a lot with how angry everybody is and how, you know, the white privilege is still, you know, running rampant throughout the country, and hopefully something can be done. I'm not sure, but it's great that you have a platform to speak about it. And I've seen some comedians, like some of my personal favorites, that come up and have said certain things that like they're bringing into the light. So that's good. So everybody's starting to really just like, you know,
But
come
there's still
out.
a lot that aren't.
That
And
is
that's
true.
the problem, is that it is one of my favorite comedians. Like, not you go through his likes, nothing. It's just ignored. And it's like some of my favorite people, like even like Andrew Santino, he's like always joking. Like, he's a comedian. He jokes about a lot of racial stuff. He's posting about it. He's tweeting about it. He's liking stuff. He's posting. Like, he knows. He's like, this is a big deal. We need to be doing something about this.
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfect example of somebody that will take comedy and go like, hey, like, I don't agree. And maybe this is a sensitive topic. I think cancel culture is really toxic. It's no room for change. If you said something once, you're a horrible person. There's a gray area in between that if you fucked up, apologize for it, then give that person the ability to grow and move from that. I'm 100%, especially in stand-up comedy, because a lot of people make jokes, and usually the butt of the joke is making fun of racist people. But then people are like, but you said the word, or you quoted them, even though just because you said that word, you're bad. And it's like, we have to find the gray. And there's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just like fed up with so much stuff. And like, I think I've just not said anything about any of it. And I feel horrible right now. So I think that's why everything's like just spewing out.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
No, that's great though. I mean, you've already said enough, and you're already, you know, putting it onto social media. And all we can do is just keep talking about it and just keep bringing it up and keep bringing it up and just, you know, give everybody that understanding that this is a problem. It needs to change. We need to find a solution. That's it. Bottom line. I'm fucking tired of this, dude. Like, I have literally friends who are just petrified for just being a human being for the color of their skin. I'm sick and tired of it. I really am, and it sucks. And this also like correlates to mental health. Like, imagine like being in their shoes and, you know, just like their voices aren't being heard. And these protests, you know, now apparently these protests for, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement, which I fully support. It's like no protest is right, and it's like even, you know, when football players do it, when celebrities do it, it's just like what is right and what is wrong. I don't understand. So I hope that we can take a lot from this and do as much good as we can to prevent this from happening. And what I've been trying to preach for the longest time is, if it happens in the present, someone needs to say something, like to anything that's rude, disrespectful, sexist, to anything that's racial, racial. Like, if it's happening in the present, you need to speak up right then and there. Because if you don't, and it doesn't have to be the whole room, but it needs to be somebody needs to say something, because that's the problem right there. Nobody's speaking up,
right?
Especially at concerts. When, I mean, unfortunately, I told this story in the podcast recently where, you know, if you're like a young teenager and you want to go crowd surfing, people get a little gropey, and someone saw it and they punched them in the back of the head, and I was really, you know, I felt good about that, but
Dude, it happens so much. There's so many videos online. It's like blah blah singer calls out like whatever, and it's like, yo, that's a teenage girl. You're groping her. You fucking pieces of shit. Like, find that guy. Do whatever. Like at Warped Tour, how many times have we gone to Warped Tour and you look and like somebody's crowd surfing, you go like that, and then you just see hands reaching up. It's like you're fucking gross.
No, dude. It's gotta stop. It's gotta fucking stop, man. Like I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I'm glad we can like openly talk about this because it's extremely healthy to do so. You can't. It's okay to talk about mental health. It's okay to talk about um, things that are true but are extremely upsetting that can make you feel in like a really really dark place. It's okay. Like it sucks when I see people that can't have the courage to do so, and I wish them full and of I'm starting to get emotional. I'm sorry. I'm starting to like choke up a little bit, but to understand that it's okay and to talk to somebody about what it is that you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Now, with mental health being said, I was really stoked for you because you and I are both a huge advocate for it. You were on the 320 festival, which was amazing.
Yeah.
I talked to Kevin Lyon about it on the podcast because it's such a good cause. And when Chester Bennington committed suicide, um, he was a hero to hundreds of millions of people, including myself. And when we were on Warped Tour with Poeta, that's how we know each other. If anybody's a little confused, you produced our debut album, and it sounds fantastic. The first day we played to a huge crowd, and like it was we had the best time in the world, man. It was just like the stars aligned. And then as soon as we got off the stage, we got that news that Chester Bennington had committed suicide, and everything just came to a halt. Like that was the main focus, and everybody was extremely disheartened and sad, and everybody was helping everybody get through it, which was great. But one of my heroes, and Talinda is so brave, and she's so courageous for everything that she's doing. But I'm a huge advocate for it, and how did you get on that festival? Did you reach out? Did they reach out to you? Because I was super stoked for you, man. Like that's something that's right up your alley.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was actually through, I don't know if you know Jordan Lawrence. Um,
He
he's
sounds familiar.
he's killing it right now, man. He works for Capitol Records for a bit, and we were working together.
That's right.
He's helped me out with a lot of things. So he got in touch with them and got me on the bill, which was great, and it was amazing. And then that led to not only, I mean, obviously the festival moved to online, but it was not only really cool to be a part of that and do that, but then I was introduced to these people. It's called Happy, and they go by like Happy the Movement, and it's essentially an in between of it's not therapy, it's not a suicide hotline, it's like in the middle. So if you just need to vent, get some stuff off your chest, they're 24/7. You can text, you can call. Your first call's free, and then I think it's like $17 an hour, which is maybe a little bit of money, but even if you need to talk for like 5-10 minutes, it's nice to have that option.
Mm-hmm.
And I got involved with them through that, and it was just like, it means the world to me. This is like everything. Like, dude, I'm being honest. Like, I spent the past 2 months, I spent the last year, but really the past 2 months, like everything was just so amplified right now. And it's like, what is my purpose? Like, what do I want to like leave on this world? Like, what do I want? And the Chester Bennington thing was the biggest wake up call for me. And probably for a lot of musicians or anybody chasing that, where it went, he had everything. He had a family, he had this, he had that. Like, you see that picture, like it's heartbreaking to see the picture. He's in an arena and he's front row and you see all the lights up. Dude, fucking, it's so moving. And it wasn't enough for him. And I have like I've like got done tours, I've got done shows, I've got done stuff and been like, I'm not happy. Like, what is going on? Like, what is wrong here? And then I'm trying to be as open as possible about everything because I'm just trying to destigmatize, and I have my own insecurities with all of it. But I've been in therapy, and then on Thursday, I told him, I was like, every day, if not every other day, I'm depressed. And I don't know what to do. And I feel like nothing is helping. And we had the conversation of maybe we should try antidepressants. And that's now a journey that it gave me hope. Like
Hmm.
it's just sucks to get to a place where you feel like there's no hope. And then it's like, well, you know what? Maybe I should try this because I've thought about this for the past 15 years and maybe it's time to look into it, at least try. And I decided I was like, ask for help, just reach out to people. And I talked to a friend of mine and she said she's been on antidepressants for 10 years and it saved her life. So I was like, okay, well, if she feels that way and she's like this amazing person, like maybe it's worth it. Maybe I should look into this. And so I've been like doing the research for that. And I'm saying all this just because I know there's got to be a lot of people that feel the exact same way and they think I can't talk to therapy because I'm crazy. I can't go on antidepressants because now I'm bipolar or I'm chemically imbalanced. But the truth is, like, we can't help the way we feel. Like, unfortunately,
Exactly.
it's not old that just goes away. If you know what, like, don't take any medicine, it'll just go away. Like, depression for me is like it's the biggest thing that I had to understand is that this isn't like something that magically goes away when you just ignore it. And I was chasing stuff over and over. And then I was in a great relationship and it wasn't enough. Then I was doing tours, it wasn't enough. It was like, what do I want here, man? And then it's like just to get to a place where a professional for me was telling me this could help. And we can do low doses. We can try and see what works for you. And then I asked a friend, well, what do you take? You know, and it's just like getting just and more of an understanding that alone made me feel better. Like I haven't taken one yet. I
Hmm.
haven't even seen a psychotherapist yet, but I already feel better knowing that there is an avenue I can go down and it feels good to admit it because I've been like denying it for years that
Hmm.
like and that's why I posted that quote the other day because it's like I'd rather accept that I'm just sad than like fear like oh no what if I go into that place again because it gets dark
Hmm.
and I don't want to feel that right now.
Hmm.
And it's like if I can just accept, you know what, you're sad right now. It's okay. Just be sad. Turn off the computer, walk away, put Twitter away. You don't need to create, you don't need to write right now. And especially as creatives, like when we get in these ruts, dude, it's just it sucks because it's guilt. And it's like, how many people wish they could be working right now? I should be producing this song. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to fucking do it. And it's just been so hard. And I've felt so much better the past couple days just from that conversation I had with my therapist. And it's been the first time that that good feeling is carried over from day to day. And I'm like, oh, this feels so much better just to like know that like there is an option. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But
Yeah, there is another, like, there is a fork in the road. Like, this isn't just one long highway. Like, you're going to be able to have options and go onto different streets. I'm using this as a metaphor, but you're able to go onto different streets and such and, choose what can benefit you physically, emotionally, personally. And I still, I still try to preach, like, just for people who don't have that courage that you should start reaching out to someone. I mean, I haven't seen my therapist in a very long time because of the fact that I don't really have insurance for my job. But I mean, I do talk to a lot of people that they don't give me opinions. They just kind of let me talk and they listen and we go back and forth through conversation. And I kind of can relate in some ways, obviously not to a T with the depression. It does happen because depression for me would happen when sometimes at like my happiest moments when I was in like you said, I had a really great relationship for quite some time and I let my depression kind of come into the way. Um, and it like it's something that I didn't acknowledge until it hit me when the relationship was over, and I was like, "Fuck, man! Like this is real." But I am learning from that currently, um, and it's okay. It's really okay to feel that way, and I don't want people to think that it's not at all. And with certain things in your life, I mean, did you feel depressed when you were like say at your peak, like when like you release like malicious or I don't know, or everybody dies and you feel so good about that music, and then or when you and Carly were dating at one point, like did you have those days where depression would kick in just out of nowhere?
the whole time. And for me, it's like the I've been like getting really, really close to my parents now more than ever because we're like openly talking about it. And that's like huge for me. And it's the understanding that I think a lot of people need to get is that when you're depressed and like suffer from depression like long term and not just like every like a lot of people go through sad times, especially breakups, especially, you know, when things go wrong, even like for, you know, people not getting into a school or these things like there can be moments that kind of like solidify it. For me, I don't know if it's self-esteem, insecurity. There's something that's like it's carried on since I was a teenager and it's you find a way to mask it, so I'll never show you. You know what I mean? Like
I feel
you're
you
my
100%.
you're writing a lot of sad stuff. And then I'm like, I'm emo. And then I realized I was like, why am I making a joke about that? And then I was like, even with some of the songs that I was writing, where there's a song I wrote called Bulletproof. And forever, like since I've been touring, that's my opening song because it's like a super hype song and it's been a fan favorite. And everyone's like, where's Bulletproof? And I was like, I don't know, maybe one day I'll do it. And if I'm being honest, it's like I don't believe that song. And it's like it's some real shit because the chorus is I know that I'm bulletproof. And I'm like, that's a fucking lie. I'm trying to say something that I want to feel and I don't feel it. And it's like hard to admit that, you know? And it's like it's tough. But what I'm understanding and my point about like getting really close with my parents and talking to them about it is that a lot of people don't understand depression because they relate it to sadness. And what I'm realizing is that like having the conversation with my mom about it where she's like when I get sad I tell myself like it's going to be okay, like you're going to get out of it, and she pulls herself out. When you're in depression you're like there's no hope, nothing's going to get better, going to be in this darkness forever, there's no fucking light, this just happened and it's not making me happy, so what, nothing will. And it's like this you it's the darkest thoughts and there's like no glimmer of hope. And to try to explain to somebody who's never suffered depression that it's hard for them to understand. They're like, but just don't think about it. I have a song coming out with Scott, and it's like we made a joke of it because they're like, don't be sad anymore. It's like, holy shit, that's it, I'm cured. Like it's like we made a joke because it's like you can't just fucking say don't be sad. You can't just say, well, think about something else. You know, go do this and distract yourself. It's like, but you in your mind, you know, it's gonna come back to it. But the truth is like when you get out of it and you're like, holy shit, like why was I so dark in that thought? Like there is reasons to be happy. There is reasons to worth living. And then it's like, okay, how do I stay in this? And going back to that quote, and it was something my therapist and I talked about. It's like it's easier for me to accept that I'm going to be sad than to be like, oh no, what if I get to that dark place again? Like what's going to happen? It's like you might, you will, and that's fine. But just know that that's not it. That's not the end. And there are alternatives and ways to get through it. And that's what I'm trying to like figure out my fucking bulletproof before I put it out, I guess.
I'm totally trying to implement that situation with the seeing that there's other options. I've never really thought about it like that until recently. I have certain things that just really kind of just in my gut could not figure out like what do I do next kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's great that we can have these types of outlets to try to resolve these problems. It doesn't go away overnight. It's basically like a marathon. It's like a long-term thing. I mean, nobody's ever completely healthy. Nobody's ever completely healed. Um, there's always some kind of uh, like little just um, little parts of you that it'll take time to heal, but sometimes it's like leaving a scar. You know what I mean? It's like when you get scratched. Like if you run over a piece of glass, or you run over a piece of glass with your foot, it'll bleed, it'll heal, it'll scab, it'll go away, but there still leaves that scar. So
Mhm.
it's never gonna go away ever. Um, it's just, and I want to go back to Chester Bennington, and this kind of like frustrates me because you and I relate as artists, and we put a lot of passion to our music. And now, thankfully, I can actually say this. I'm disgusted at the so-called fans of Linkin Park who would bash their new songs on social media. They are the same people who would say like, "I love you, Chester. I miss you, Chester. Um, it's not the same without you." Blah blah. Whatever they say, but through writing their music, which is their own creation, which is basically something that they put so much heart and love and passion into, and they release into the world for people to enjoy. And I remember seeing YouTube videos where the comments were so they were bombarded with negativity. Like it's true that us as entertainers or public figures, whoever you may be, artists, actors, you see so many great comments that make you feel great, but as soon as you see that one comment that's negative, it hits you. It just hits you so hard that it's like, man, like I can't do this. Like I had a hard time just releasing me just drumming videos covers. Like I was like so fearful of the negative comments, and I'm starting to get a little bit more confident with it. But when these so-called fans, so many negative comments, and I remember Chester was on a radio station. I don't know if it was somewhere on XM, but he said that he's like, I don't know what to do. Like the fans aren't responding well to any of the music that we put out, and it's killing me. And I'm trying to cooperate. And then he was starting to respond on his personal Instagram. I'm telling you right now, I promise, if you go back on his personal Instagram and you start deep diving in the comments, you will see a plethora of negative comments, and that's disgraceful and disgusting, and that affects people.
Unfortunately, I have a different opinion on that because it sucks, but whenever you get big, and this is something that I told myself like from day one, like think about your favorite artist, and like Hybrid Theory was one of my favorite albums, like growing up, like just playing basketball in my, in my driveway and just listening to that and, being like, crawling in, like all that shit.
Love that stuff.
But when I started to hear their new music, my first thought as the teenage Bruce was just like, this is different. This is not the Linkin Park I knew. But then there's the new Bruce who's doing pop production and stuff. And I'm like, this is a smart move. Like I get what they're doing. The fans aren't going to like it though. It's going to be like this weird thing that they're going to have to find a middle ground for it. And the fucked up part is, to your point, when you listen to those lyrics and stuff, like what was the one with Kiara?
I can't personally pull anything up right now, so I don't have like a guy to pull up quotes and stuff. Yeah, I'm
gonna pull up that song. God, why can't I think of it? It was like the most recent big single.
I just feel bad that it hit him so hard to the point where like you can say you dislike a song or new music or whatever, but like don't be so passive aggressive and like disrespectful. Like he's a person too. Like you know what I mean? Like that's where I'm basically coming from. Like
yeah, no. Oh, Heavy.
Heavy. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that song's so fucking good. And yeah, no, my point is that like, unfortunately, those people are always going to exist. It's just it's way more. They probably had those people back then. Oh, you're on fucking MTV. You fucking sellouts from their hometown, and it's like probably carried over from thing to thing. Like the moment you get popular, you got to deal with that shit. And it's I mean, obviously, Chester had a way more fucked up past than that. He had to deal with a lot of fucking demons. And there's interviews with him being like, he's like, this is a bad neighborhood. And like, I can't get out of that. It's like, I grew up in this bad neighborhood, and it's him. And, I don't know. I think it sucks that there's people are so toxic and they're saying fans, but I think there is a middle ground of that where it's like some of those people grew up on it, probably said shit. They're like, fuck this isn't them. But then they're like so guilty afterwards. Like, fuck, I shouldn't have said that. And hopefully that was a wake up call to them to be like, maybe I should respect my idols while they're alive before I'm shitting on them in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
And I always have been really bad with criticism. I'll focus on that more than I will the positive comments. But recently I've learned to just like put something out and walk away, which is like, if anybody that's trying to post videos, TikToks, whatever it is, like even if it's you just trying to post a funny tweet, like how many times do we have anxiety being like, people are gonna think it's funny, or people are gonna be like, that's whack. And then you're like, but I'm gonna come off confident. And then you post it and people are like, not it. And you're like, fuck.
I tried. I don't know. Like,
But at the same time, it's like, who cares? And it's like my whole thing I'm gonna try to like make my mission and my statement is that at the end of the day, we go to sleep with our own thoughts and we wake up with them. So we have to live with this. Nobody fucking else does. So if it makes you happy to do X, Y, and Z, like fucking do it. What's the worst that could happen? You know, like somebody says like you fucking suck. It's like don't believe it. Cause like it's just it's baby steps, obviously. But I'm learning to like before it used to take me like I wouldn't post anything on Instagram for a while because I was so afraid of like how I would look or the likes that I would get or the comments and I was like, I don't like none of that defines me. Like none of that, like I'm not sitting here now going like, remember that time you got like 60 comments? I'm like, no, I don't care. Like I'd rather the comments that mean something to me is somebody being like, your song meant X to me, you know, or this thing moved me in a way, or I felt really creative after I heard this, so I made this art. Like that all day, you know? And the Weekend Riot had it, and I have it right now where I feel so fucking lucky that and Victory in Numbers, like my first band, like I've been so lucky to have 3 different projects have people that cared. And like regardless of how big Victory in Numbers was, regardless of how Weekend Riot is, regardless of how big I may get, having people that even give a shit is so big. And I'll like never ever take that for granted. And I have been taking that for granted, and it's been making me feel guilty. But so when I hear you talk about the comments and stuff like that, I have that battle within myself that I'm like, yeah, but they cared that much to be that passionate about a comment.
exactly.
Like that comment says like, how lucky is Linkin Park? And as fucked up as it is, you know, the shit I don't agree with is like personal attacks.
How do you deal with the criticism? Like, what do you do to try to like get that out of like your thoughts in general? Because I always had a tough time doing it, and I'm starting to get a little bit better over time, which is good.
Yeah. It depends on the day.
Mm-hmm.
There's some days that I'll see something and it fucks my whole day up. And the biggest thing is like I empathize like with everybody. If anybody's being hate, like especially when you see somebody like tweeting a bunch of shit, like my good friend Lucas Marks, his dad is Richard Marks, and he had a big song in the 80s. Well, he was a huge artist in the 80s, huge songwriter. And so now he's very, very anti-Trump on Twitter. And he gets a lot of people being like, oh, you're a one-hit wonder, you piece of shit, whatever. And he just goes after them. And whenever he does, I'll like go to those people's pages, and it's like, it's so negative. And it's like, all I can think is like, these people, I think they hate themselves. And they're trying to put out hate on other people. And then I just feel bad. So whenever anybody goes after me like that, it's helped me so much. Like I'll get DMs like about stuff, even my past relationship. I'll still get comments, you know, in Instagram lives. Like I have fucking amazing people that in there, they'll like battle for me. They're like, not the time. Stop fucking asking about it. Stop bringing up the past. And it's really sweet. But that's the only thing that's helped me. It's like either they're too young to understand what they're saying. They're just trying to get attention. Cause I've screenshotted messages I've got and I might block out their name, whatever, because I don't want them to get hate, but just to put it on blast. And then they'll go, oh, I didn't think you'd see this. My friend dared me to do it, but I actually really love your music. And it's like, not cool. And I think there's a mixture of that. And then, yeah, I think there's a lot of people that they just they're not happy, and they want to bring other people down, and it makes them. But I think at the end of the day, even when they hurt people, they probably feel even worse, and then it just spirals out even more. So that's why I always make jokes about it. Like if anybody's mean, like I'll make a joke. And I've only had like one instance where like somebody was like in front of me, just like really mean. And I came out to a show. I don't know, maybe it was Seattle. I forget where it was. I don't know, but walked out on stage, and this girl looks at me and she just goes and like gives me the middle finger. And I was like, what the fuck? And it just, the whole show, I'm like, dancing around singing. I'm like, why did she do that? She looks so, and the whole rest of the show just arms crossed. And I'm like, why does this girl hate me? And I'm focusing, and then I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, if I focus on this girl, she's ruining the show, not only for me, but for everybody else that's like paying for me to entertain them. You know, like, what am I gonna do? Just be in my thoughts and be like, this one girl ruined it for all y'all. I was just like, fuck it. So I just like had fun, and then eventually looked over, and by the end of it, she like put her arms down, was like kind of like shrugging. I was like, all right, all good. But it's just funny, man.
That's a crazy experience. That's the thing too, because I always was a people pleaser. I always try to like make people laugh or like say some dumb shit to, like not impress people, but like I just want to like be cool with everybody. It's so I could talk to a brick wall for hours. I think that's why I'm doing this podcast. But I think you know what I mean. So basically, the whole thing is like I did try to impress people a lot, and that was something that I learned that I gotta worry about myself first and make myself a priority, because if I don't, dude, it's just literally going to be it's gonna be a spiral. Like I'm gonna be going in circles, like running around in circles. And I'm not gonna be getting anywhere with it. It's just gonna be continuously to go through those situations, and it's basically on repeat, and it's not good. It's not good. So try it, and it's good that. That's a good way of taking criticism, because I started learning to like not impress people. So the whole fact that
the thing that I learned too was that I'm just gonna be super honest about everything. So with the Weekend Riot, we would post weekly covers, and we knew that that would like help views. And then we went to put out original music, and no one like, not that no one cared, but it was like we might get 100,000 views on this One Direction cover, and then we would get 1,500 views on an original song, music video, and we're like, what the fuck? But it's the idea of like, you can't, and I'm just like a big advocate for this. You might as well do what you love, because if that thing blows up, you're like, cool. So many people are like it happens all the time with tweets. Oh, now this is going viral. Check out my mixtape. Now this is going viral. Do this. It's like, we didn't come here for that. And I think it's tough, because if you put out a drum cover and you're like, I'm really proud of this, and it does 100 views, and you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted it to do. You're going to be like, well, what's going to get the views? Because then I'm going to feel better. And then it happens, and you're like, I hated that song. I don't want to do any of those covers, and then it's exactly what you said. It's a cycle. And then I don't know. That's what I'm really, really trying to remember. And it's like my last song that I put out, it's called Say to You. And I'm really proud of the songwriting. But overall, I'm like, I don't know if that's what I want to sound like. And I got so caught up in like, let me play the game, I guess, a little bit. Like these melodies lend way more towards the pop side of stuff. Maybe I could get some playlists on Spotify. And I like submitted to a bunch, and a bunch came back and like your voice, whatever, just like, this isn't it for us. And it was like, damn, that sucks. And it was like a lot of no's, enough criticism and no's for me to go like, well, I wasn't even that proud of that song. Like, I love that song, but I don't think it was for me. And I think the ego got in the way a little bit. And I was like, I think I could have presented that song to maybe another artist. Like, let's work on this together, make it even better. And it'd be perfect, because your voice could do this for that. And I have friends that disagree with me. I had this conversation with my friend last night, and he's like, you're an idiot. The song's good. So this is my own stuff, but I want to be able to like play something for somebody and they go, this is so you. Like, that's the best compliment. Like, I've gotten that for Everybody Dies, where when I would play that for people, they're like, oh, this is you found your sound. And then I was just like, okay, I'm going to go over here now and not focus on that, even though that was like the most proud I've been about a song in a long time.
That song is a bop, Caroline. There's a lot of people in the comments that are appreciating the earlier talk that we had, so I appreciate you tuning in and listening. But when you showed me Malicious, we were recording with you in Bucks County for our debut album.
2015?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, how do you guys feel about the song? And Kevin was the first one that was like, dude, this is incredible. Like, you have to release this. And you're like, I don't know. Like, I have to do some things. And I was so glad that you put out a YouTube video with you transcending that song and evolving it into what it is now, because it's amazing. I love it. That's one of my favorites.
Dude, yeah, and that was we recorded your guys' EP right before I was mixing it when we were on tour.
Yeah, pretty much.
Made it to LA, and then like I was doing like final mixes. Like some of it, like whenever I listen to that EP, if I ever listen back, I'm immediately brought back to that my first apartment. Johnny and I shared a room because like I had $500 to my name. I was like, well, better make it work. And then it was like, I gotta mix these things and make money because I'm not gonna be able to afford rent. And I just remember like it's that I fucking love that EP because of that reason, especially the song with Schuler, dude.
Day
Kev,
Tripper was one of those songs that I knew that to to compare both Kevin and Schuler's ranges was going to be so beautiful, and it was the perfect formula to let you record that. I was like, this is the perfect storm, man. Like this song's going to be a hit, which it became a fan favorite. I'm pretty sure it's like besides that and Golden Fields, those are like the top two songs that people like thoroughly enjoy.
oh good.
I mean, dude, honestly, to be completely honest with you, thank you for teaching me the ins and outs of how to going about recording because I was such a fidgety drummer that like I was all over the place. I didn't really have repetitive parts of songs, and you taught me structure and you taught me a lot of that. So I really appreciate that.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Who
dude.
recorded the new EP?
Wait, what?
Who recorded your guys' new stuff?
Okay, so we're in New Jersey now. I forget where, but it's Bobby Torres of Frightbox Recordings. He's located in New Jersey. He's done a lot of metalcore and just metal bands in general. But he's got a great tone to what he's putting out there, his production
Did you
wise.
say metalcore?
Metalcore, metal.
Medical. He does a lot of medical work, but he also does producing on the side.
Yeah, he's an ER nurse or something, and he's
The drums sound fucking amazing. Like that was like the biggest thing that I took away. I was like, damn, this guy's good. So your shit sounds great, man.
thanks, man. I appreciate it. Have you been talking to? Have you still talked to Johnny since you know? No.
Um, um, I can't remember the last time we talked. I saw him. The last time I saw him was he had quit in January, and then I saw him in December, and it was bonkers. It was so weird, and I was like, man, I feel so weird about this. And we were in a room. What's the place right next to the Electric Factory? Voltage
Gold
Lounge.
sauce. Yep.
And yeah, we were there, and I saw him, and like we said like I said hi to like all our mutual friends and stuff, and then me and him just like didn't say anything, and like just kind of walked by each other, and I was like, man, I know everything about this guy, and it's like we're not even talking. And then I wrote the song "Better Off This Way" about it. The second verse is just literally that exact situation because I was like, I don't know how else to deal with this. I have to like write and say something to get it off my chest. But I think it was like I DM'd him before the song came out. I was like, yo, man, like, I hope you know there's like no hard feelings. Like, I wrote this song and like it is about the situation, but like the whole verse is about like, I don't hate you. Like, I have nothing but love for you, like, whatever. And then I think maybe like 6 months later, I DM'd him. He had like made like a new Instagram and somebody was like, oh, here's the new Instagram. And then I DM'd him and I was just like, hey, man, I just hope you're well. Like, just checking in, making sure everything's cool. So, I mean, like, everything's fine. It's just, it's tough because it's like a breakup. Like sometimes you need to just give each other space and to I don't know, to understand that sometimes it doesn't work out and it's probably harder if we keep talking.
Yeah,
You know, like and like best friend breakups, dude, are the fucking worst.
they're the worst. Trust me. Especially my past relationship. That was a best friend plus relationship. But that didn't. That was hard. So I totally feel on that. I haven't. I still talk to some friends that um, that I involved with in past projects. And I don't hate them, but it's just like, man, I just wish there can be a silver lining for to communicate one day. But I haven't. Some are talking to me, some aren't. I don't know why, but it is what it is. I don't know. But I'm so stoked that you reached out to him because he's a good dude. I met him once, super sweet guy.
Yeah. And I like still keep tabs. So like I'll like check in every once in a while to see what he's doing. He's like he has this really cool project and like I don't even know like it's like I don't know if I'm supposed to like if he would want me to like promote it or not or like or if he's trying to keep everything like he like just abandoned his Instagram and I was like is that him saying like I didn't like this? Ironically your podcast name like I don't think he liked the limelight. I think he liked being a little more he's a really introverted guy and he's so fucking widely talented and he's really creative and I think and I'm not going to speak for him so I'll never like put words in his mouth from my point of view it was like I'm not fulfilling the creativity that I want to do and it took me a year to like accept that because I blame myself. I blamed maybe what did I do wrong in this and whatever. And it's like we were doing pop music and he didn't want to do it. Like it's not for everybody. And it becomes a job, especially in like like we were writing, dude, we wrote fucking like 90 songs in like 4, 5, 6 months. And it's you every single day you're going, we're gonna get a song today. And you go in with a new producer or a new writer, and you're constantly doing that over and over. It's just like, okay, what else? We've written about everything. What do we do now? All right, let's start writing some fucking ballads. Okay, let's go into this. And by the end of it, I was like, man, I love this. I love songwriting. I love being able to go in a room and like somebody says something like, how do we flip that? And I think for him, he's like, I want to sit with this music. I want to figure out how I want it to sound and do this. And he wanted to take the way more artistic approach to it and not have that songwriting with other people. Why are you saying what I want to say? And again, I'm not speaking for him. He never said this, but it's just what I took from it. And but I have nothing but love. Yeah, everything you said. He's a super talented guy, and I never, you know, I just really hope he's doing well. It seems like
I
he is.
Yeah, I
But
remember you texting me like literally when it happened, or maybe shortly after, because I know you probably had some other people to reach out to first because it's a serious situation. And you were like, "What?" You asked my opinion, like, "What should I do?" And I was like, I just remember saying, "Just do the weekend ride by yourself." Like, I
yeah,
think you're an incredible artist. I think you have so much potential in general. I've never seen you do any kind of video editing or what so what, but like that was like the one thing that Johnny did, which was cool. So you guys were a really good duo at the time. But you did continue to move forward and do it. I don't know. I don't think it even took that long. It seems like it just like happened so fast. But and then you got Shane Dawson using I don't know, in his video and shouting you out, which was incredible. I mean, Eugenia is such a sweetheart. I remember seeing her all the time on social media, and unfortunately, she disappeared for a little bit. And that documentary sheds light on that. And it just you evolved into something that you thoroughly enjoyed. That you're putting yourself out there, and to be on that note, like so, when you go into writing these songs, do you use a lot of your real life situations for inspiration for lyrics and such? Like, is that how you sometimes approach a song, depending on
that,
what it is?
that's my biggest struggle. Is that I only can do
Oh,
personal,
wow. Okay.
and it's really hard for me to just like make something up that doesn't mean anything to me.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some writers that are really, I think, not that I haven't done it, I have, but it has to be like if it's another artist in the room or another songwriter, like somebody's got to have something we can attach to and run with. So somebody's like, oh, I went through this breakup and they said this, or what am I doing with this, or even just like I don't know, like all that stuff. And I'm like, why can't I write just to write? Like, and I don't know I'm still battling that and still struggling with that to figure that out. Um, but I will say there's nothing more rewarding than something that means so much to you. Like IDK means everything to me. It's if anybody asks how I feel, I'm like, that's the fucking song. And when that came in the document, I fucking cried when that song turned on. I was like, holy shit, like how did this soundtrack fit perfect, like for this moment? And then, like, not only that, like, Shane is such a sweetheart. He fucking put the music video at the end of it so that when you finish, and I had no idea, I watched the whole thing, and at the end, it's like my music video pops up on his channel, and I'm like, what?
I saw
And then it
that.
like drew, and then it was like, somebody's like, yo, you're charting on iTunes. Yo, you're charting on Shazam. And I was like, what is happening? And like, it was just like the most amazing thing, and for somebody to do that. But it meant so much more to me because of what that song meant to me. And that is like the numbers only like you only feel good about that for like a blip in time. And it's like it's nice to tell people like, hey, here's how many streams I got on this song. But the thing to me that makes me so proud is like this song meant so much to me and look what it's doing, like that to me. It's like, this is my story and people care. And that was the biggest thing to give me hope, because everything with you and a lot of people told me like, continue on the Weekend Riot. You already have this platform, just like run with it. It was always like those Chester comments. People are gonna be like, it's not the same without Johnny. You
Yep.
change. You're not the same. And I was like, I want to restart on this. And then I was like, well, if people don't like it when it's Bruce, they don't like Bruce, because there's no Weekend Riot. There's no artist name. You don't like me. And then it was like figuring out how to somebody gave me the a perfect thing of this, and maybe this will help with what you were talking about with like YouTube comments and drum covers. Somebody said, "Do you?" Or they're like, "I don't like John Mayer, but I love his Instagram. He's so funny. I hate his music." It was like this, like the biggest epiphany I've ever had in my life, and I was like, "Huh," because his music isn't him. It's just like an extension of him. You don't like that extension, but you like how funny he is over here and when he's doing comedy and whatever. And it was just like, what? But that's the truth. It's like if somebody doesn't like IDK and they're like, that's a piece of shit song, it doesn't mean they think Bruce is a piece of shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
They may like my song. Like that, you never know. Like that's the thing that I keep trying to tell myself. And I'm the biggest hypocrite because I can say all these things and I can give the best advice to my friends that are going through it. But then when I'm in the moment, I'm like, I've been struggling with this for the past 3 months. I have songs that I've played on Instagram Live. There's a song called Letter to My Teenage Self that means the world to me. People love it. And I go to record it and I'm like, it's not going to do well. I don't think people are going to connect. Is this your sound? You know, are you going to be proud of this in a couple months? And I'd like all these thoughts, like every time I go to sit down to write a song or have been happening. And I've literally been just like, all right, back to producing, like just work on this part, you know, of this artist song or co-write with other people. So it's easier. But then I'm co-writing and I'm like, well, now I'm like, I don't know if I like that song because we kind of made it sound like them and it doesn't sound like me anymore. But all that being said, it's like, and I don't know if, you know, just to bring back what we were talking about before, but just having the conversation with my therapist and talking about, you know, you know, going on antidepressants and different avenues and understanding that at the end of the day, it's about us being happy. It's about you being happy with what you're doing and everything else should just be icing on the cake. And that I was forever trying to find validation in my numbers and people showing up to a show. And I was like, if I decide to do a solo tour and 20 people show up in a city, how's that going to make me feel?
Sure.
You know, so I was like, okay, well, figure out your shit internally. So then when you look at 20 people and you go, fuck yeah, 20 people. Because like Aaron, Sunreal, the artist, is the most inspiring dude. He's so fucking positive. I don't know if you've ever checked out his music. He's fucking amazing. But he was on tour with us with Scott. And we sat there and we talked about it. And he goes, bro, you need to get out to these cities. Go by yourself. 20, 30, 40, 50 people might show up. Who cares? Because the next time it's going to be 100. And the next time it's going to be 150. Maybe it's 120. And then it's 170. And then he's like, just keep going. Because like as long as you keep feeding it and keep going, like people are going to support it. He's like, you have what it takes. And it's like when you hear people say that, it's like so inspiring. But then you go, but what if they don't?
Right.
I can't afford for that to happen, you know, to play a show and nobody shows up.
But you won't know until you try. And the thing is, like, if anybody's an inspiring musician, that to tour, not constantly, but to make an effort to start locally, regionally, then throughout the country. Just give it a shot, see what happens. I mean, you know, within the business, like, you know, getting into the music business and all such of learning how to, you know, wrap in, you know, music starting first and then, you know, going out to, you know, all the content creation and such. But you won't know. Like when Poeta got off a Warped Tour, I mean, we did a couple other things and then we went on a hiatus and we had people just be like, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? And the shows did get a little bigger every now and then, but I think the hiatus hurt us and it put me in a really bad spot because it was just hard because we're reinventing ourselves. However, but yeah, you don't know. You're gonna show up to like, you know, maybe 20, then 50. Like that's circulating that and being more involved and being out there and giving it, you know, your passion for what you do and just kicking ass. People enjoy that.
Yeah. I mean, the weird thing right now is, and I wonder what you think about this, is that the old DIY, just keep touring, get in a van, get in a trailer, and just go. Like it doesn't work anymore.
You're absolutely right. It doesn't work anymore, and it's extremely hard to get on two tours without having some kind of data of analytics from Spotify with your streams.
Right. And even when we when the weekend this is kind of funny. I'm gonna put someone on blast. I won't say his name, but
Okay.
Wild tour, and it was IM5, The Weekend Riot, Bailey McConnell, Sam Podorf from O2L. He was the host of the tour. There's a couple other people that were on. Oh,
I went to that show. It was at the Fillmore, right?
TLA.
When did you play the Fillmore?
Oh, that was when we played full. We played a full band set.
Okay,
This
for
was
sure.
like right before that. It was like, or maybe a year before that. But man, time flies.
Yeah.
So the booking agent was like, well, they have X amount of followers, they have X amount of subscribers, they have this, they have that, whatever. Combined, we can sell it to TLA. We can sell it a 1,200 cap venue, and like 300 people showed up.
Mm.
And for Philly, that was huge. But then we played in Atlanta, and it was the Masquerade, maybe. I forget whatever the big room is. I think there's like hell, heaven, and purgatory. Whatever the big room is, I guess heaven.
I would say heaven, yeah.
There was a row of people on barricade, and that was it. It's like going to the Electric Factory, playing a show, and only the people at barricade are there. That's how many people showed up. Like it was so defeating. But the booking agent had the thought, well, because the analytics say you have this many followers, we can get X amount of people per city. But that's so not true. And like, luckily, like after like 2 years, people started to realize like, well, a lot of YouTube subscribers might be coming from other countries. They might be people who don't want to go and see shows. That's why they're mainly on YouTube. Like you have to find your audience elsewhere. So, and that's why we like, to your point about the regional stuff, I think it's really important to, there's this comedian, I don't know if you ever saw him. He does loops. His name's Mark Rubier, or it's like Ribilet.
Sounds familiar.
Dude. He's like he's my favorite person to follow. I highly recommend it. But he was just on H3 and stuff too. But everything he does is made up on the spot. So he has a loop, and he's hooked up with his Logic, and he'll start making a beat, and then he'd be like, "Oh yeah, baby!" Like, and he just like but he's got an amazing voice.
He's hilarious. Too. Yeah, he's hilarious. He just did. They highlighted his. What was it?
H3.
Well, they highlighted one of his loops, one of his performances. He just did. Who's the guy that's going viral now that is being attacked?
Keemstar.
Okay,
he did this on Keemstar.
Yeah, so funny.
Him. But his thing was he started in Dallas, and he started to just find little like places that would let him play, and he knew he had something like unique and original, and he would just he would play like lunchtime at a brewery, and like people are eating sandwiches, not giving a shit. And he was like, whatever, this is like just me to work on my craft in front of an audience. And I think that's the most important thing right now, is that people need to be a little bit more forward thinking, that the past shit's just not working. Like something is broken there. So we need to figure out the next thing. And if it's going to coffee shops and there's only 10, 15 people there, yeah, I don't think it's about making a fan base there. I think it's about figuring out, okay, this is a workout for me. So I'm on a stage. How can I be working the stage a little bit more? Even if I get somebody drinking their coffee to look up at me. Okay, I won. I won tonight. You know, you never know. Like, I think that the issue is everybody wants to, and I'm guilty of this, that you want to win over fans immediately. And that it's like to your thing before, it's a marathon, that if I just say like, hey, check out my song, you're going to be like, who the fuck are you?
Exactly.
Like, one for me, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And my brain's going a little bit all over the place. I saw, this is really funny. And if anybody that's listening or watching this is going to go up on YouTube too, right?
Correct. Yeah. So on Friday, this is going to go up on all streaming platforms plus YouTube.
Okay, cool. So if anybody is doing this, it's really smart. I saw this on a Joe Rogan. I always go through like comments and I try to find timestamps, like when, because those things are like 2 hours long. I'm like, maybe they talked about something and somebody's like, go to 2:03 for this. And this guy put every timestamp with he had this guy Jesus, this really funny stand-up comedian, and it's like 0 minutes to talk about this, to like fucking 20 of them, and then at the end it goes, this took a lot of time, so if you wouldn't mind, like, go check out my music and blah 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 blah. And I was like, that's so smart, because he's going, I'm doing you a service, so if you are into it, check this out. And it wasn't like spammed comment, check out my blah 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 blah, because everybody's like, what are you gonna do for me, you know? And it's like, well, offer something, you know, like make people have a reason to want to listen to you. Like, I don't know, I think that's like really important, because as artists we can get very selfish to be like, why am I not getting enough streams? It's like, well, what are you doing for people to want to check out the streams? You know?
Be creative. You think not think outside the box, but be creative and to who yourself. Like that's extremely creative. Like I know like of the normal protocols of promoting 101 where you just involve yourself. Like if you have a YouTube channel, you just comment and like be involved in the community. But that's pretty intelligent for doing a service for everybody. And then at the very least, all they have to do is just listen to their music. That's incredible.
Yeah. And for a while, I struggled too. Like I was like, I want to make production videos, but I don't want to be putting it all out there of like my techniques and this and that. And it's like, who cares though? Because if you put the shit out there and people connect with it and they come to your channel for advice or that, it's all a win. And granted, I haven't done it in a while, but like, that's why like I started like posting production videos and like, this is what I did with the bass. And this is how, but I need to like have a conversation with people that aren't musicians that I struggle with. Like I want to make YouTube content because I get really involved in like I get really excited about mixing and I get really excited about taking something that is you laughing and I'm like, I took the laugh and made it into this whole hook of the chord, whatever the fuck it is. Like I sampled it and that shit makes me so excited. But I'm always like, if you watch any of my production videos, I kind of dance over stuff to get to the next thing because instead of going into detail and showing my passion about how excited I'm about it, I'm like, this is boring. I got to keep going. And then you end up like watering down your content instead of being like, I could have just focused on the bass tone and been like, this is a bass guitar. Everybody thinks it's a electric guitar because it's so distorted, whatever it is. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to find ways now to be more forward thinking and as far as promoting and stuff and like exactly what we said, just to make people like want to pay attention and stuff. And it's like I feel very blessed to have an audience that already does care. And I'm like, okay, how do I get more people to be paying attention, or industry people or booking agents or managers or whoever? And I'm like, I think it's just staying the course and just doing stuff that I want to be excited about. Because if like we're excited about the shit we do, it's going to translate in some way. And then it's like, if I'm doing stuff that's a little more forward thinking as far as my production, like pop punk became a curse word for Johnny and I, because our manager at the time, our manager Brian, would be like pitching us out and we would get the same notes every time. Like they sound a little too Warped Tour. And we were like, and right. So from like where we come from, we're not Warped Tour. We're so pop, but because of our tone, and I listen back to some of those things, and now my brain has been so ingrained with that I'm like, and he really made it like, you guys got to stray away from this because it's hurting us. Instead of going, this is what you are, let's lean in. We were like, no, we got to satisfy these people that are going to take us somewhere. And for the longest time, it became like this negative thing to be like, if I have any sort of pop punk tone in my voice, I'm fucking up. And nobody cares and whatever. And now the ironic thing is, if we would have stayed the course, we would be so big right now because pop punk became like so mainstream again.
Yeah. Data Remember kind of brought it back, and then you have all these bands like Neck Deep and Story So Far. Yep, you're exactly right. Yeah.
And like a lot of these artists, like there's like pop artists using like even Machine Gun Kelly, Youngblood. He's like a big pop star, but he sounds like Burt McCracken. Like who would scream and stuff, and he's on radio. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I should have just stayed with it. So, but it's like I'm glad, because then I found like this new influence of like pop stuff and other artists, and I've always loved pop, but like finding my voice and to be like, well, I can still lean here or there, wherever I think I sound good or I want to sound like, I can do that. So I don't know. It's a struggle.
You've always had that creative aspect to you, especially with the one thing I liked about the Weekend Riot was that you guys would do those one-shot covers. Like it was just one take, so it wasn't one shot. Like you do different takes because you want to do it all in one, just one shot in general. And they were fantastic. And the one won an MTV award, which was pretty sweet. Yeah,
dude, that was both exciting and sad.
Yeah, I know. I and we all know why. But your pop stuff it's so you, and then the creativity that you come behind it with Everybody Dies, like you being an old man, like it's hilarious. Like you put your bits to comedy. I'm surprised you're not a comedian and an actor on top of being a YouTuber, a producer. What else? What else do you do? Like what's next, dude? What are you doing? Like, you could do so many things.
Yeah, politics. I'm going to be running for governor.
Please, for the love of God, don't.
No, the really the funny thing is like I've been trying to think about um ways to every time that I would go out of my comfort zone is when things would happen for me. And I just started to really think about it. I was like, okay, so I was living on the East Coast, living in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, producing bands. I found comfort in that. I found comfort in making friends through that. Like I got to meet some of the people I'm closest with today are from producing them. And I was like, man, that's so fucking great. That's so cool. But then I was like, but it wasn't until I decided, let me go to another producer and they might shit on my stuff or they might shit on my songwriting, and went to Ace Enders and was like, hey, you record this. And he was the one to go, you guys should be doing pop. And he literally opened the door and was like, I'm going to teach you how to songwrite. I'm going to teach you this. I'm going to teach you that. And me, Johnny, and Ace collabed together to make this. We made the Weekend Riot. Like that was Ace's baby, and I'll always credit him for that. And he was the first one to like light a spark into me, and that's all I needed. I just needed someone to go like, you have what it takes. And I was like, cool, thank you. Okay. And then just like we ran for it, and it gave me like the confidence. And the thing that I was thinking about recently is like, am I just too comfortable? And I was like, for sure. I think I'm too afraid to get in rooms with bigger people. So I play it safe. And the times that I do get in the rooms with bigger people, things happen for me. So I'm like, okay. And if they don't, who cares? Like it's another connection that you've made. And I decided, I was like, you know what? After we're able to, to be outside again and things are in that place, I'm going to start doing improv classes. I'm going to start doing acting classes. And even if I never do an audition in my life, I want to put myself in that position where I did that, and to push myself, because I think I've been so playing it safe and comfortable. And there's this great interview with David Bowie where he talks about, he's like, you're comfortable in the shallow. He's like, the moment that your feet are barely touching the ground, he's like, that's when you're in a place where you're about to make some really amazing, things in your life, because then you're in the unknown. So now you're in this territory of like, I don't know, like that's where creativity starts to get really interesting. And I'm trying to just do that. I feel super inspired, and just having this conversation with you, I feel super inspired to just like want to create and excited about everything.
Me too, and I appreciate that because, dude, you're one of my most influential people that is closest to me. I mean, there's a lot, of others that I have, like Schuler or the band that I'm in now. Like, there's just so many. I always like surrounding myself with people who are more intelligent than me that I can learn from and go back and conversate. But like, I didn't think like this podcast. Like, I talked about it and said about it for a while, and when Kevin Lyman said, "Here's my number," I basically shit my pants. And then I was like, sure, let's book. I was like, I guess I got to start to get this rolling. So I started emailing a bunch of people. Everybody started saying, yeah, and the train started rolling. I mean, I think this is great for me to communicate with everybody that, wants to talk on, certain issues or their profession or get an education out of this. But it's super sincere. And that's why I really like this. And especially when we know each other and we can have a correlation of like, music and everything else. And, but yeah, I dude, you're like, when I first met you, I was like, this dude's fucking hilarious. Like the shit that we used to joke around in the studio and stuff. Like I can't remember exact things, but, God. But
I need everybody to understand that his interview where he's talking about Kevin Lyman, because some people I don't think understand, he was the founder of Warped Tour. He was like the guy that did all of that. He's the guy that put 320 Festival together. So that's who George got. I just have to like stamp how cool of a fucking accomplishment that is.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And we had a great conversation. I was extremely nervous because we were on his tour and we had a great time, and he kicked our ass in what was it, Knockout. But super inspiring, and he's so humane. Like he's so humble. Like I've never met such a nicer dude who's just so straightforward in my entire life. In general, but it's crazy. So we never really talked much about Warped Tour. We just kind of talked about what he was going on and stuff. But you're still before we I'm stuttering a little bit. I don't know why, but before you before we fix this podcast to stream, did you you said you're writing some songs, right? Currently, or
Yeah, I have. There's like a bunch of demos and like half written songs. And I've been like, I'll like pop on Instagram Live just to like. For me, it was like the I got really lucky where there was like this little formula that I had that I was like, I can go on tour, I can play a new song, and I can feel it out. And if the crowd fucks with it, like, cool, I'm gonna put that out. And I did that with IDK, and then I did that with Everybody Dies. And then I was like, how do I test the waters now? Like, I want to know what people are thinking or leaning towards. And that's why like I started playing Say to You on Instagram Live. And then there's a song called Minute that means a lot to me. It's amazing. Uh, I wrote it with my friend Jess, and that's probably gonna be the next single. I just have to. There's like a bridge part of the song that I haven't written, and she's been doing Zooms and stuff. So like that's the new writing session is Zoom sessions, and it's really hard because when there's not somebody in the room and the energy, there's like music to me, it's like it's all energy, and it's like if you're not like you can feel it over like this, like we can feel it in a conversation, but if I'm playing a song and it's a delay on you, and now you're going, wait, what? Like we're fucking up the energy, and it's like it's so hard to be on with it. However, I have gotten a couple good songs that have been like pitched out and stuff, which has been cool. But Minute, I always go on tangents. Minute's gonna be one of the new songs, Letter to My Teenage Self. And the most important thing for me to me right now is like just kind of figuring out where I want my music to go instead of just like I feel like I've just been like doing this like and like looking all around and not just like honing in on like what am I going to be excited about that I'm going to sit in a room and hit play for somebody and they're going to go, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is up, Kyle? So
are you collaborating with anybody with these songs, like at all, or is it just your mindset, like with everything?
Minute, yeah, I collabed with my friend Jess. She goes by Kane, Cayne. She's so fucking talented. Um, the other ones have just been me, and that's like I think I need to. The other thing that I haven't done in forever is like I was just texting Joe Lally. We were talking about this, how we miss being in bands and like miss just being in a room and jamming. Like I don't
Yeah,
jam
that
ever.
feeling is so pure, especially when you just somehow can feel each other's vibes from going into a verse, into a chorus, or anything of that nature. It feels so good. It really does. It's incredible.
And you're just jamming until something feels good, and then you land like, oh no no no, keep doing that groove, keep doing that. I got this idea now. And I'm like, that's my favorite when I work with other producers. And that happened with Everybody Dies. I collab with two other producers called Bad Vibes. And I'm like, why am I not doing like why don't I just make beats and then write to that later? My brain is so bad, it wants to write all the time. There's a melody all the time. And it's a blessing and a curse because when I'm trying to make a beat, I'm like, but what would I sing over this? Instead of just feeling out like what sort of rhythm is gonna make me feel inspired or excited. I'm constantly like, okay, the beat's here, but like, I don't wanna. And I'm like, stop, stop singing and just fucking do it. So I think for the future stuff, I'm just gonna like start making beats and whatever. And the one idea I had for videos, like, I don't know if you know Toddy Smith.
Mm-mm.
He played piano with Scott, and he's been playing piano a lot more, and he'll just send me videos of like stuff he messes with on his Nord, and it's always really inspiring to me because I'm like, it sounds like I could take this and make it sound like it's a sample, like from like a vinyl or something, because it's just his iPhone, and you hear the reverb in the room, and people are walking around. And I texted him, and I was like, dude, keep sending me these because like I'm eventually gonna do a series where I take like videos from my friends and like make beats out of them. Like that would be so cool to do, and then people make songs with it. Because my biggest thing is like, why am I not doing that and letting other people be creative with my own shit? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just gonna be more inspiring for people. So that's next.
That's
But at the
cool.
same time, I want to do it like live on Twitch, and that's why I need to talk to you about this and talk to Pat about this because I don't know how to do this shit.
I don't really know how much to do with this either, with OBS and everything. I mean, he was a huge help, especially with the getting graphics. The first three episodes were pretty good for a start, and then my buddy Kyle, he is like he's a tour manager for We Were Sharks, a pop punk band in Ontario, Canada. Just was like, hey bud, like I just got bored from the being home in the quarantine. I just redid your logo, and I was like, dude, please do my overlay. This looks incredible. Like, come on, man. I was like, how much do I owe you? He's like, you don't owe me anything. I was like, I fucking love you.
Yeah.
Um, It sounds like you don't even have time for like. I mean, you're doing a lot of projects and with writing and such, but I don't think you have time for dating. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it seems like you're pretty occupied.
Yeah, I've tried.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it comes back to the place of like, I think I need to be alone and just be happy doing this.
Hmm.
And I keep saying it over and over, and then it's like, well, maybe I'm ready, because it's like you get lonely. It's like I want to be talking to people, I want to be around people, and I've definitely tried. And uh, but I think the most important part of it is just like I just being real with myself about it, and that's been the biggest breakthrough, especially with the conversation I had with my therapist the other day. It just like made me realize like I can be excited alone and create. And I think it's the toxic part of my brain goes to like, you're gonna put it out, no one's gonna really care. What's it gonna do? And like that's the depression taking over. And uh, yeah, something I learned in therapy, little free little tidbit that this has helped so much is putting a name to your anxiety or your doubts. And so I named mine Bart. So whenever like that creeps in, like literally I'll start talking out loud. I'm like, but dude, like whatever. Like I feel like a crazy person, but it helps so much. Or just like writing it down and being like, when you can address it like it's somebody else and being like, yeah, but it's like, who cares? It makes me excited. Like if it does 2,000 streams, who cares if it does 2,000 streams or 2,000 views or whatever? It's just like somebody else might look at that and be like, oh my god, he's doing 2,000 views. It's like, who gives a shit? Like no, it's like it doesn't matter, because like if you just keep saying the course and something does happen, people are gonna be like, I was there when there was no views. Like that's so cool. I got to watch this person grow. I don't know.
Dude, they're loving the Bart. There's it's like going on right now. Jen said Bart like the NorCal bus system.
What? I don't know what that is, but
Like North Cali bus system, I guess it's called Bart.
that's funny.
I don't know.
Do you know? Wait, I thought. Did you go to school with? Do you know Lexi Murphy
She
or
sounds
Pam
familiar. I'm
Murphy
better with faces than I am names.
or Pam Murphy?
I do know of Pam Murphy. Yeah.
So that's my cousin, and
Oh,
she
okay.
named Bart. And maybe this is mean to say, but Bart was like, I forget what kind of dog it is, but he was very like if you would like rub his skin, it was like very like dry, and like he had a bad eye and it would like goop. So like that's my Bart.
That's amazing. It's good to compare it to something. You know what I mean? Come on.
They're gonna kill me for that because I haven't told them that.
That poor pup. No, it's okay.
He is
Um,
he has passed. That's why I knew I
uh,
could do.
you could do that. Yeah, you could do that. It's okay. That's so funny. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for me, I wish I can go back to therapy. Some people were taking notes. They said while you were explaining how you go about it. It's for me. I think closure is like one of the biggest things. If I like, for instance, like you reaching out to Johnny and saying like, hey man, like blah blah blah, like I really just want you to know that like I wrote this and I want you to know if it's okay or whatever. Like the closure, it seems to me that it helps me a lot if I can have that opportunity. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you really don't, and that's okay too. But like, and I remember you talking to you earlier. Like you had closure with Carly. I think you guys are still cool, right? Like I believe. Like,
Yeah, we're cool.
yeah, that's pretty cool. So it's just like one of those things that like it's you know, I like all you have to do is just try and make sure that you're doing the best that you can every day with whatever the situation is. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm just as an overall factor.
Yeah, I think to that point too, I think the most important part of it is like making sure the other person's happy. And if you don't want them happy, then why?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I like have wanted nothing but happiness for her, and she seems to be really happy right now, and that's awesome. And like we've texted here and there just about like other random stuff, like not to get like personal about it, but um any like I would never want anybody like Johnny or anybody to like not succeed. And it's like there have been people in my past, and like I won't put names on it, but like, and that's why I put in that song. So maybe I am addressing who it is about, but being like it hurts to see me doing well. Like that is in Better Off This Way, because that was something that got back to me is like, it sucks to see you like doing okay right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I have trouble with that because I'm like, I want all my friends to succeed regardless if we're friends or not anymore, or relationships don't work out. Like, I love when people, like, shit happens for them.
Hmm.
Like, I would hope people would want the same for me, and when they don't, like, it hurts, like, more than anything, that somebody would, like, wish that I wouldn't do well, or that I'd be hurting as much as they did or something. I don't know. It's tough.
It is tough, and it's hard. When I got out of a relationship, I just unfortunately had to just. It was hard. It was hard for me to bear to not see how well she was doing, but like it was hard for me because like that is not there anymore. So I kind of just like unfollowed and just tried to not see that content. But I've starting to grow up a little bit. I don't think I'm going to be doing as much with that at all. But it is what it is. Life is life, and you move on. And dude, I'm stoked for what you're going to release soon. I mean, I don't know when. I know that everything's going on with the pandemic, but hopefully we can see something. The coolest thing I did see was that um, one of your I want to say client, but one of the musicians that came to you to produce, they were on that show for NBC. What's it called? Like Songland? That was
Yeah, yeah.
incredible. That was incredible, dude. That's pretty cool.
She's from Cherry Hill.
No way! That's so close to me. That's awesome.
Dude, her voice is phenomenal. I met her. She worked at Howl at the Moon in Philly, that, like, karaoke bar, or not karaoke bar, piano bar, where, like, I don't know if you've ever been there, but you, like, go in and, like, you can tip and then say, like, can you guys play this song? And they played, like, whatever song you want. And there's, like, a band, they rotate.
Hmm.
And she was playing bass, and I was there with Johnny, and our friend Tom was in the band with her, and she was playing bass, and she was, like, struggling to play bass, and I'm like, why is this girl in the band? She can't even, like, play bass. And then she got to singing, and I was like, oh my god, she was doing fucking Jessie J like it was the easiest thing ever. And I was like, this girl's voice. So then I was like, dude, we got to work with her. And then we ended up we did a Weekend Ride cover. We did Downtown, like, Macklemore cover, and she sang it, and we made, like, a goofy skit of it. And then she moved to LA before us, a year before us. And then when I moved here, we started working together a bunch. So we have, like, 12 songs together. And the What If song was on Songland. Was originally, she wanted me to just sing, and I was like, well, I'm not singing alone, like, we got to make it a duet. And it was like 2 years ago, and I hadn't really sang on anything. And she's like, yeah, I think it's time for you to get back to the artist stuff. And that song is kind of about my situation. And then it was like, fast forward, she was like in this whole process with Songland, and it was just like, they want What If. And I was like, what the fuck? And just started, like, freaking out. And then I think the best thing that happened is that it didn't get picked, because the song fitting, it didn't make sense to me. I don't know why they chose that song, because we didn't have a say in what they would pick. But it was cool because it gave her the platform, and it was like the best thing that has ever happened to her. She said, like, she called me the next day and was just like over the moon. She's like, I have to go. I'm like too excited. I just, and then, like, when the episode came out, she was so excited. Corey's so fucking talented. But I think the best thing that happened was that it didn't get through, because then we were able to, like, I was able to, like, produce it out, finish it, and then release it as a solo artist, rather than some of these ones that come out, it, like, says Songland attached to it. We got to, like, not have to do that, which was
Mhm.
really cool.
And going back to the business aspect of, like, how like Spotify numbers mean everything just in general, but like singles is the new way to go. Like releasing full length albums is really not a thing. That's like a thing of the past now.
Going back again, though, it's so weird, dude. I've been struggling with this. Where I think it depends on the artist,
True.
because for me, it's always been like, we'll take somebody popular like Billie Eilish or like Harry Styles. Their fans want an album. They want a body of work. I think the passers of, like, some other big artists that can live off singles, and it's cool. They put a single and it goes on radio, whatever it is. But I've always been, I mean, you and I come from the background of, like, we need an album. Like, I want to, like, listen to Protest the Heroes Keziah, like,
Oh my god,
I want to
stop,
hear,
man.
you know what I mean? Like, a concept album, like, even with Coheed, or, like, even more recent, like 21 Pilots, like, going through and, like, oh, there's a theme to this. Like, oh, cool. Like, oh, what does that mean? Like, there's something so fucking cool that's like, oh, who's Blurry Face? Oh, that's his alter ego. It's this thing that he's struggling with. Like, to me, makes it so much more interesting, because then a fan is going to show their friend and go, it's what I did. like I don't know if you ever got into Armor for Sleep.
Yeah, I love that band. Absolutely. Yeah.
What to Do When You're Dead album.
Yes. Yes.
What's the name of the album? It's been forever. But I remember showing so many people and being like, he's dead in this whole album. Like the concept is like he's just a ghost, and like going through and like that's obviously influenced some songs that I've written later. But I'm like, I want to do something like that. I want to have a theme. If I'm ever gonna do an album, yeah, I want it to be a theme. EP, I want it to be too. So I'm like, I've been struggling with the thing of like I already have songs out. Some of these I want to be on the EP. Can I put them in some sort of theme or like at least sonically feel the same? And then I've been dancing around like, well, maybe I'll do an acoustic EP for those songs that are already out. And then I start to do an album that feels like this is all one body of work and put it out. I miss that shit. And I think it's worth doing. And I think for bands, especially, like you have to. Like you can do singles, push the singles, but I think with push 4 singles and then put out a 6-song EP.
Mm-hmm. And make a concept of it. Kind of like give it some kind of demeaning to, or demeanor to it, or something.
Yeah. Just like I don't know. I think there's just I'm just like seeing all the smoke and mirrors in the industry more than ever, and that this idea, right, that we have of go to a major label and like everything will work out. If you get signed, that's it. And I've had friends, I have and had friends that work for these labels and they go like, and a lot of them do know what they're doing, but there are a lot that it's so much luck that it's a no-brainer. Billie Eilish was already blowing up on SoundCloud. Yeah, let's do it. Because the talent was there. Mm-hmm. There's other artists that they get signed and they have a vision and all this stuff. And the label's like, well, it didn't work. It's like, well, you didn't give it time. Like, well, we need it right now. We're trying to do singles. And they're like, you're trying to choose it with an artist that has a vision and you're not going with the vision. You're fighting it and going, well, this worked with Khalid, so we should do the same thing. It's like, he's not Khalid. So what do you want to do? And I don't know. So I'm realizing more and more, it's like a wake up call that like so many artists are like, I got to play by the label's rules because I want to be signed by them. But at the end of the day, that they're a bank. All they're going to do is give you money and you owe it back with interest.
With interest, so that's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. Like and marketing promotion in a sense too. You can add that into the mix of everything, but
right. And a perfect example of, I will say, here's the flip side of it, is I met Sam Fisher through Corey and we sat at a coffee shop. It's my favorite coffee shop, Republic of Pie. And we're sitting down there. Actually, the coffee shop Johnny quit as well, but it's still my favorite coffee shop. And we sat down there and I sit down with Sam, and this was like 2 years ago. And she's like, this is my friend Sam. And I didn't know him as an artist at the time. He's really fucking hilarious, dude. Super nice. Like got along right away. I'm like, dude, we should hang out. And he was dealing with the frustration of like, I don't know how many, I don't even have 10,000 followers on Instagram and I'm signed to RCA. It's like, what? And it's like, I don't think they're going to pay attention until something's happening. Fast forward 2 years and his song blows up on TikTok, The City. And it's like, the infrastructure was there for him to succeed. So it's like, so there's two sides of it. If you can find a label that is willing to be patient with you, you have to be patient with them. But if you're going to a label that you want instant success, there's going to be instant failure if it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So it's, I don't know. Even when
you're starting out from scratch, so like say like you release, like you record an EP with a well-renowned producer, you take it to a label and you give them this whole like spiel of, we work with this, we can do this, we can market this, here's the plan, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, they agree to it. And then they release it. And then it's like, what's happening? And then maybe you're buying followers to impress said people. Like, it's interesting. It's interesting.
I think that's like my whole thought was it like, I don't care to be signed. It would be nice to have like some sort of distributor to be teamed up with. And my goal has always been to like be able to create my own imprint. So if like that's me having to work with some sort of label to build a relationship, like I'm willing to do that. But I would love to have some sort of imprint where I can take artists and help them develop and figure out their sound and stuff. Like that's been my goal forever. Mm-hmm. Just now trying to figure out, okay, like let me figure out my artist thing. Let's do that before you start biting off more than you can chew. But yeah, to like, I think it's, if you can set up that, well, this is what I am. I know who I am. I know what I want to do. Those are the artists that are always succeeding. That's what John Bellion did. He
Mhm.
went to the label and was like, who's going to give me the most money? You're a bank. I'm selling out these places on my own independent. I wrote Monster with Eminem and Rihanna. What are you going to do for me? And it's like, that should be the mindset. And it's a hustle and it's hard and there's a lot of luck involved. But the more you put yourself out there, the more opportunities for the luck and for something to strike and to work out. So that's what inspires me to like keep trying to go for it. So that when you get to a point where what he did was like, I'm going to put out 3 albums for free, and had to tell Capital like, I'm putting 3 albums out for free because I need to win my fans over a little bit more, and then we'll put out something, and then we'll push the radio and stuff. And he had like 1 radio song, and he's selling out Electric Factory. I always use that as a reference because George is from Philly, but it's like a 3,500 cap room. That's fucking crazy.
It is crazy, and like it is, and shoulder to shoulder, there's a balcony upstairs too, and everything. So it just like completely feels like an intimate show when the room is packed completely.
Called now?
Oh my god, I hate it. It's disgusting. The Franklin Music Hall.
Franklin Music Hall.
Yeah, it's a little tacky, but the only addition that I've seen recently that did actually sounds great in there. I think they did a little. I think they re-upped their sound system, but they brought in these like origami looking like LED balls that hang from the ceiling. I'm like, really? This is the only addition you put into the venue? Like, this doesn't change the venue.
Done.
Yeah, it's done. Take the sign off. Let's wash our hands. Let's put up some origami light balls, and that's it. We'll call it a day.
We can do EDM.
Basically. Or hardcore shows where they go viral because there's a Running Man meme. I don't know if you. I'm referencing to a hardcore gentleman on my show that I recently had, James Plaguey. They played a show at the Electric Factory, which was an incredible hard fest or whatever, hardcore fest, and there's an act. If you just Google or YouTube Harms Man Running Meme, they just overdub like different songs to him. Just
I saw that, but I didn't know who the band was.
yeah, they're called Harms Way. They're incredible, dude. If anybody's into hardcore music. Wait, I'm sorry.
From Philly when that happened.
That was in Philly. Yeah, that was in the Electric Factory. I was like, no way, dude. I was like, I know these guys. It was incredible. God, I gotta come out to Cali to see you because I know you and John Howe are right around the corner too. So I mean, it's more of an excuse to come out to California right now.
That's how small LA is, and it's like I was thinking about that too. How wild it is that John did the lyric video for 25 minutes by the Weekend Riot, and he was based in the UK. Like, and then fast forward. Then I got you in touch with him for Poeta.
Correct.
Is that what
I said, do you have any content creators that you can that you know of? And you're like, yep, got a guy right here. Call John. Yep. So
then you're in touch with John. He's in England. Then he moves to LA, working for Equalvision or
Fearless, yeah.
Fearless. And I remember you saying like you should link up with John sometime, whatever. And then I see him. I'm in my car. I look over. He's got a mask on, and he's looking at me. I'm like, that looks like a band dude. Do I know him? And then drive off. And he messages me, dude, are you in LA? Whatever. I'm like, and then it turns out he lives in my old apartment. I'm like, what the fuck are the LA is so small.
Jesus Christ, that's so cool. But it won't be hard finding you when I get out there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But I think we've gone on for like 2 hours, which is incredible, dude. I knew this was going to be like the longest conversation that we had. An hour 40, which is pretty tight.
Hour 40 with some technical difficulties.
I'm sorry about that. And when I do re-upload this to all streaming platforms, there's not going to be any editing issue, or there's not going to be any issues. I'll edit all that stuff out and try to make the best of what it is, which will go up on Friday at 3 p.m. this Friday. I think it's like June. What's today? Today's May 30th, so June 1st. So June 7th, June 6th. No, June 6th.
Like a podcast. Please keep going. It is.
It is a podcast. It's a live stream podcast. Bruce and I have known each other for years, and we cannot stop keeping in touch. We can keep going for a little bit more, just a little bit more, because I know that we both like have other things to do as well. So yeah. So with that, it's such a small world. I've never been to California personally, so I'm just gonna actually. Yeah, dude, I know. And John, he's from the UK. And he told me a story that he's been to every state in the United States. And I was like, dude, I live here and I haven't been to every state. And the story behind that is that he they did the Guinness Book of World Record challenge where they try to be in every state within the country within a certain period of time. And I think they did it in like a hot air balloon or something. And like, they got the world record.
What?
Yeah, that's literally like his story. If you want to go back, I think it's episode 7. Look at John Howe, the Limelight podcast. Dude, I was like, no way, man. Like, you literally, like, you just got in a hot air balloon, which I'm afraid of heights. I'm like, I'm not fucking going on a hot air balloon.
Do you have that as just a clip?
I'll clip it. I'll clip it.
Dude, put that on your channel.
Yeah. I was like, what, dude? I was like, this is so funny. Like, you're from the UK and you've been to every state. I've been stuck in Pennsylvania. I've only been the furthest I've been out to was Colorado. Like, that's it. Yeah, I was like 13.
That's so interesting to me. Yeah, I mean, like, I was really lucky because with Victory in Numbers, we toured in, when was that? 09. And I had like toured in some like other bands and stuff, but that was the first one where we were like starting tours in Seattle. And it was like, holy shit, this is going to suck. Like, let's drive 4 days there in a van and trailer with no air conditioning. But
oh, the good old days. Jesus Christ. When like being in bands was all about touring and just playing shows.
We were signed and it meant nothing, dude. It was like we might as well have not been signed. Like, there was no money. They didn't help us with tour support. It was like we got tour badges.
Who were you guys signed to again?
Bullet Tooth. Well, Trust Kill.
Okay.
It switched to Bullet Tooth. And it was so dumb. At the time, it was like our singer Nick Passio, who's super fucking talented. He's doing a lot of like EDM music now. It's like so like watch the people like not give up and they just keep figuring their way out. But he goes by Nick Paz, P-A-Z-Z. But he had a wife and kids, so he was like, I mean, I need to like know that there's like a label or some sort of infrastructure that's going to help this. And unfortunately, that label wasn't the right one.
Yeah, some labels don't really put out a lot. I mean, we're very thankful for what we have because he does a lot of marketing for us. But yeah, it's like you said, some labels they don't just put out. They kind of like talk it up and butter you up, and then you see nothing.
Yeah, and it was like the frustrating part was we break up and well, like he had quit, and then we broke up a few months later, and it was like bad blood. 3 of us had a horrible thing with one of the guys, and he had been stealing, and like this whole it was a horrible end. And the label, we got hit up by Fueled by Ramen after we broke up, emailing like, "Hey, love the music. Like, what has been working?" And it's like, oh my god, talk about patience. Like, you know, maybe if we could have been patient, then it was like it was too late to even. And then, you know, like I've stayed in touch with the guy, and we've been talking since. And he ended up he was working with Ace Enders, and so it was like, whoa, talk about full circle. Like 3 years later, he's working with Ace, so he's gonna help us now, like pitch stuff out, and like he's amazing. His name's Johnny Minardi. Johnny Minardi's the fucking shit. I love that guy. Super inspiring too. But it's just wild that the way things go sometimes, and it's like. But that was like a wake up call to me. It'd be like, if it's not right, it's not right. Like we could sit here and try to put this band back together just to sign to Fuel by, and then what? We fall apart because we hate each other. You know, I was like, this makes no sense.
No, you'll be miserable. And some of those bands actually, you know, do that. I mean, you'll never see David Gilmour or Roger Waters from Pink Floyd ever get back together and play a stage live. You know what I mean? Like it's either you're going to see the Dark Side of the Moon or you're going to see the Wall live. You'll never see those musicians ever be together again. And I think they're still. You know, have a like a vendetta for each other or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I do that album too, because I didn't really have anything to do with Victory Numbers album. I was only on one song. Like it was done when I joined the band. It's Killing Morning Love by Victory in Numbers. That album's so fucking good. And Nick wrote like 99% of it. And it's like it still holds up now. And I'm like, holy shit. And it was tracked by Scott Stallone, and it was mixed by Dan Corniff. And I don't know if you know Dan, but he mixed Riot by Paramore and like all these like huge albums, like a bunch of Breaking Benjamin stuff. And like it's fucking crazy that I'm like, man, that was definitely not ahead of its time. It was like the perfect timing for it. But I was like, why didn't that happen? Like,
yeah. There was something special with it. Dude, it was a bop, man. Like, and you guys got on Warped Tour. I don't remember the year, and you were on for a good amount of time. I don't think the full tour, if I'm not mistaken, but that album kicked ass, and it got attention really quick. So it's you know, it just wasn't meant to be in a sense, but holy shit.
That was like the tough lesson, and I feel them. I don't want to say I feel bad, but like I think it was probably the most frustrating for Nick because he had a wife. He did like most of the songwriting, if not all, like with like a few contributions from the other guys. And to then hear like later, like it was good enough that Fueled by Ramen was excited about it, who had Paramore and, you know, eventually 21 Pilots and stuff. And it's like, damn, like maybe if it was just like a little bit more patient, or I don't know, but it's like I try so hard not to beat myself up over like what could have been and just focus on like it just was like something would have went wrong, like it happened for a reason, because
Yeah.
otherwise I'd be sad.
Yeah, that's. I mean, like when Poeta went on the hiatus, I mean, it was very upsetting, and I think the one thing that really fucked me up was, I tweeted our live music video that was overdubbed with Heaven, but the actual track that you recorded, but Warped Tour just retweeted it in general, and like I scrolled for like, I want to say 15, 20 minutes, and I'm like, I see all these professional bands on here, and just like all they did was just retweet it, and I was like, fuck, like what, like we got, like we were still writing, but I was like, we gotta really get back into this fucking groove, because you know Warped Tour still supports us, like, and we were only on for 11 days, 10 days playing as like the basically opener of Warped Tour almost every day. So, and then you know, like I started reaching out to other situations. Like I might be joining a band. They're really good. We still have a lot of discussions to talk about, but they're called Tiny Human. They're based out of Philadelphia, and they have this like Tiny Human.
How do I know that name?
They're an alternative rock band from Philadelphia. They're fantastic.
I'm about to be like, one of my friends is in this band.
Richie, the vocalist, and then there's Dustin Miller that's in the band right now, as well as Pat Serrero.
Maybe I'm thinking of Tiny something else.
Tiny Moving Parts. That band's pretty big. But yeah, so I might join them. I mean, it's just one of those things that like, I don't know. I just kind of want to see how I feel about openly jamming with these dudes and going from there. It all takes time. I'm just trying to give myself options for the future, just like this podcast. I don't know. I'm saying.
The thing too that I think is really important is that I'm figuring out is like I would go like 110% on one thing and then just throw everything else to the side. And I think it's so important to, you can give 100% in like 4 different places. Like there's ways of doing it. Because like the truth is the band is going to be like, we can only practice X amount of days. So like, cool, I'm going to do that. And then when I'm not doing that days, these other 4 days, I'm going to work on this. And then on my off time, I can be doing the podcast. It's like, you can do that. It doesn't mean you're not giving it the full percent it needs, but you're going to get yourself way less frustrated when other people aren't committing the 100% that you are. And it's like, that's especially like, that's the one thing that I'm grateful for not being in a band is like, you have to deal with a lot of different personalities and understand that like people are just the way they are and you have to just accept it. And like, there's got to be compromise, but it's fucking a marriage with like 4, 5, 6 people. And it can be a nightmare.
Yeah, and I wish I started fucking doing vocals in the beginning of my music career. Like, not really though, but like in a sense that, Bruce is laughing right now. You know what it is? Honestly, I think it's the Zoom. So like, if one of us talks, like only, like it's hard to talk at the same time. That's why I keep doing that. But what's it called? That saying, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." It holds true. I was like, wow, this is ridiculous. Like, I need to start getting at different outlets for certain projects because of the fact that, like, yeah, I can do this podcast on the side. Like next week, I have my weekend filled. I have 4 guests, 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. So I'm gonna be a little stressed. Yeah, so we'll see.
You got coming on.
So next Saturday, we're gonna have Colin from Grayscale, signed to Fearless Records. We're gonna have David from Covet, which is they're fantastic. He's the bass player for Covet. They are an instrumental. Well, not only their vocalist or their guitar player just started singing on their newest record, and they were basically all instrumental. Now they're not. And then we also have Mark, who's an A&R rep for Fearless Records, as well as Matt from A Will Away, which is a pretty cool underground band. He's a vocalist. So
good.
Huh?
A Will Away is so good.
They're extremely good. I strongly suggest anybody checking them out. I mean, they that's the alternative sound I would love to be in if I was in an alternative band. It's literally that band.
Like it's like that, and like kind of like that transit type sound, or like I mean like the stuff I can still go like back to, and it feels very inspiring to me, is like that, and like balance and composure, and like even like go back to like there was this band, I don't know if you remember, Like Lions,
Hmm.
jazz riffs, but it was like rock. I don't know. It's so fucking cool. But so I worked for Adobe Radio for years. So I always did the sound and always like recorded the live sessions there.
Hmm.
So Away, Grayscale, like all those bands would come through. So that's fucking awesome. Like I love those guys.
Philly
They're
native
great.
guy. I can't wait to talk about the Super Bowl on that podcast. Do you believe in superstition, by the way? Because you were at the LA game when the Eagles won the Super Bowl and Carson Wentz tore his ACL. Do you hold your Philly native self to superstition? Like, oh, if I wasn't there, he wouldn't tore his ACL. You know what I mean?
I don't know about superstition. I was there. I was there with Cody from Set It Off, and he's like the biggest fucking Eagles fan. And when I think the thing that it didn't feel like a big deal in the moment. That's why I don't really like. We watched him walk off, so we were like, "Oh, he's fine. He's just limping." And then he's like, "Dude, he's done." And that's like when we got the new, like we saw it on his phone to be like, "Oh my god, like this is a big deal." Um, I don't know. I'm more of a where's Big Ben? You know, like where's Ben Franklin in the city? Because where's the World Series at? You know, like
Yeah.
he got down, and now we haven't won a World Series again. What's up with that? Like,
Put him back up on the Comcast tower. That's where they put him. You know what I mean?
and then Chase Utley can come back out and be like, world fucking champs again.
He got close. He was with the LA Dodgers for a hot minute. They went to the World Series, but couldn't come up. They came up short a little bit. That's crazy. But dude, I really appreciate you coming on, man. This was a good time. I missed the fuck out of you, man. Like I hope to get myself into California very soon. Um, if anybody's interested, we're gonna have two podcasts live. So if you can follow the Twitch account, you'll get notified when we go live. For Colin from Grayscale, David from Covet, please check them out. Matt from A Will Away, and an AR representative from Fearless Records. This will go up on Friday at 3 p.m. On all streaming platforms, including like Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. And dude, like I said, I miss you. I love you. I wish I can be there, but this pandemic's gonna definitely put us, and stick us in the ground for a little bit. So
This is cool, bro. Yeah, please come out whenever you can.
yeah, when I'm not doing
Anybody?
something, yeah. But I appreciate it, brother. I'm gonna sign off, and I appreciate everybody tuning in. You'll see this come out in a week if anybody's interested. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. God bless America, Bruce.
Love you, bud.
Love you, bud.